Hello and welcome everyone to another video. I'm Drew from Team Future Strategy and these are my quick thoughts / reaction to the Crystal Towers series. Before we get started, please make sure to hit the like or the dislike button below, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification to support the channel for free, and leave me a comment below with your thoughts on the video. Alright, so at this point I have gotten to 5.3 in Shadowbringers, and unfortunately I was unaware that in order to progress I absolutely had to do the Crystal Tower raid series. Now at first this was definitely a minor annoyance, much like anyone might think, why am I going back to do a level 50 raid series in order to progress through my level 80 main story quest. Now before we talk about the raids themselves, I would like to point out my opinion has completely changed. If like me you went up to 5.3 and then had to come back, the experience I'm sure is vastly different than if you had done this series while it was current, and what implications that had on the Shadowbringers leveling experience. So a quick note, there's definitely going to be spoilers of some kind here. It's in the title of the video. This is now my verbal warning. If you have not done this series and or are not up to 5.3 within the Shadowbringers main story quest, I would highly suggest hit the like button down below for me and then quit the video. Okay, so let's get to it. Now the raid series includes a huge amount of cutscenes and 3 separate Alliance raids to go through. Sidebar, this does unlock the Alliance raid roulette if you have not done so by doing some of the other Alliance raids within game. Let's start with lore first. We get introduced to, pardon me if I mispronounce it, G'rahatia, and 2 other newcomers, Unei and Doga. Nerotoskava is also included in the storyline, which I found odd, but also I wasn't surprised, as 14 has had a weird way of showing me that most Ascians will quote-unquote claim redemption by saying something like, yo, I'm not trying to kill you anymore, but I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing just to benefit me and only me, so you're just going to have to deal with it. Now, as you progress with the tower with each raid, these characters open up and reveal more and more about their own goals, save for maybe Nero until the final raid. This experience for me was very interesting. If you got to 5.3 without ever having done these, you have a very good idea of who G'rahatia not only is, but it is also, this questline is going to give you insight on how he goes about becoming this character. So, like I said, last chance, spoilers. Seeing the Crystal Exarch before he had such like a calm demeanor and just like how resolved he was actually made this character development explode for me. I mean, he's just so amped up as G'rahatia to do his own thing and be a fighter and be involved, compared to kind of the resolved, I'm never going to show my face until I have to kind of guy we get at Shadowbringers. This was awesome. This character development right there was awesome for me to experience in this way. Unei and Doga's short but impactful story was a great way to provide clarity, and their sacrifice in order to lock the tower really can pull on some heartstrings. I mean, I get it, they're clones, so that opens up a moral debate, but it's a video game. The fact remains that they stay behind to bind the Cloud of Darkness in order to help G'raha not only gain clarity on his destiny, but also fulfill it. And as for Nero, I mean, what did we really expect, right? Of course he wanted to harness dark powers. Some people just never sway away from the dark side. Yo, who wrote this fucking script? Alright, the raids themselves, this was my first experience with Alliance raids, and honestly I have some mixed feelings about it. So let's start with the negative. With a lot of things in 14, the general population assumes everyone has done older content. I get it, you're in there for a good time, not a long time. Watching the cutscenes was something I wanted to experience, but oftentimes I get out of them and the boss that we're approaching is at 12% health or whatever it may be. This actually made the experience of the fights themselves pretty much be a small sample size, so I can't really tell you about most of them. The only negative I could point out was... I'm sorry, that was all wrong. The only other negative I could point out was group responsibilities. I will say in one of the raids that I had someone in my group who was awesome. They went about explaining the fights, what group roles were. However, on the other 2 raids, unfortunately, no such thing occurred. When the groups have assignments, I kind of felt like I was left to fend for myself and figure it out without being able to support my group. This is especially frustrating as a healer. All right, so the positive. The raids are super easy, and honestly, that's a good thing. This is content you want people to experience, but not necessarily progress through, so each of these fights was relatively easy and not overly punishing. The flow of the raids was great, mostly linear paths. Experienced raid members would put down ABC markers to indicate where your team was meant to go, and some raiders were just as lost as I was, so I wasn't crushed by that fact. All in all, I think the intention of making sure this raid series is completed before you move into 5.3, which I have yet to do, is great. I'm stoked on everything I experienced, and I'm really looking forward to what 5.3 has as a result. Now, this is the last spoiler. Cid saving Nero. I mean, can we just admit that Cid's the fucking man already? That was awesome. That cutscene of him jumping through the portal just to save someone who he doesn't have any connection to, and I thought the dialogue between them where he jumps through, gives Nero a smile, almost to say, "Hey, I got you, fucker," and he literally says, "You owe me one." And to hear Nero say, "Like hells I do," I think that was hysterical, and that really provided a little bit more depth to both those characters. Cid's obviously a great main character. We know that Nero's got his own path that he has to walk, and I'm interested to see how much further and how much different his path goes, as I have not seen too much from him otherwise. Alright, thank you so much for watching. What was your reaction to the raid series? Did I miss any small details that might change my story perception? I mean, obviously I could have done a video for each of these individual raids, but I didn't want it to go too far. Now, do me a favor, drop a comment below for either of those two questions. As always, hit that like or dislike button to help with that YouTube's oh-so-famous algorithm. And be sure to subscribe below as a free way to support the channel. Until next time, I'm Drew from Future Strategy Gaming. Peace!